Welcome in to Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. On today's show, we are going to go back over our Seahawks fan-led mock draft that we did on Wednesday's live show. If you missed it, we will go over all the picks and see what you, the Seahawk fans, put together as we picked this draft in real time and allowed all of the 12s to come together and put this mock draft together of who they think the Seahawks should take with their 10 picks. Here are the 10 picks for the Seattle Seahawks. As you can see, 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, 3rd, 4th, 2 fifths, a 6th, and a 7th. And so in this mock draft that you're about to see, we're going to project all 10. No trades involved, but we'll let you know, in case you missed it, what the 12s decided for those 10 picks for Seattle. And you may be wondering, well, how did I miss the opportunity to be a part of the Seahawks Today mock draft? Well, we have live shows each and every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. And you can join us for our live shows and be a part of opportunities like that, where you can let your voice be heard among the 12s. We do our mailbag segments there as well. So subscribe to the channel today, be a part of our live shows, and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. If the Seahawks make a big move of sorts, we're going live as well. We're also going live on draft night too. Subscribe today, youtube.com/SeahawksTV. So here's how we made the draft work, whether it was through comments or super chats. This was the votes of how we determined how the draft would go, with 1 comment equaling 1 vote, $5 super chat equals 50 votes, $10 super chat was 125, 20 was 250 votes, and if you send in a $100 super chat, you got to make the pick. The first 4 picks off the board, no real big surprises. Bryce Young at 1, C.J. Stroud at 2, Will Anderson at 3, and Anthony Richardson at 4. So with that, with there not being trades involved here, not a surprise to see it be those 4 off the board, leaving Will Levis out of the equation there. Still on the board, Jalen Carter's around there, Tyree Wilson. And this one was easy for the chat to make this pick as they went with Jalen Carter. Smart call by the comment section here. I like this pick to go with Jalen Carter here at number 5. This is the pick that makes sense. This is a smart pick. This is the one I think that everybody is feeling really good about if Seattle ends up with Jalen Carter come that Thursday night on draft night at number 5, who's arguably the best player of this entire draft. Mel Kiper's got him number 1 on his big board. Jalen Carter, you can see the statistics last season. 32 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and 3 pass breakups. A really good year from Jalen Carter, and that's also factoring, remember, he took on a lot of double teams as well and still put up that production. We go to the 20th pick, and here's some of the notable names that are available at 20 for Seattle. Myles Murphy, Zay Flowers, Bijan Robinson. The comment section was really pushing for Myles Murphy. But then at the 11th hour, we had a big super chat come in from, you guessed it, the one and only Mark Sanchez here on Seahawks Today. And he said, you know what? The Seahawks need to double up at the defensive tackle spot and go with Brian Bresee with this selection there at number 20 overall. And so we're thinking to ourselves here, really doubling up at defensive tackle? But when you look at where the Seahawks are at, this isn't that crazy of an idea, actually. We'll show you the depth chart here in just a second of what that could potentially look like for Seattle, of what they would do with this. But let's show you more on Brian here of those statistics that he put together last year. 15 tackles, 5.5 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks, 2 pass breakups. A terrific football player, and he'd be a nice addition for Seattle. It does seem kind of odd on the surface level of drafting 2 defensive tackles with your first 2 picks, but we'll tell you more about this possibility here in just a second. What's your dream pick at number 5 overall? Is it Jalen Carter? Is it someone else? Is it Will Levis, potentially? Tell me who your dream pick is for the Seahawks, who comes to mind that you'd like to see them pick at number 5 overall. Let's go to the second round now, and our fan-led mock draft. Seattle goes receiver, adding Josh Downs from North Carolina. A lot of talk this draft about Jordan Addison and Quentin Johnston, Zay Flowers, and company, Jackson Smith and Jigba. But Josh Downs is starting to climb up boards, and he certainly caught the attention of Seahawk fans here on the channel. You look at the numbers that he put together the last 2 seasons. 101 catches in 2021 with over 1,300 yards and 8 touchdowns. Last year had more touchdowns, 11 touchdowns and over 1,000 yards receiving with 94 catches. He is a very good player, and you can see what he was able to do the past couple seasons. He's been very consistent for that North Carolina offense. Seattle starting to think about the future of potentially replacing Tyler Lockett down the line and also trying to fill the void of the number 3 spot. That's what you do here with Josh Downs with this pick. We have a brand new NFL draft channel here at Chat Sports where we're talking about not only just your Seattle Seahawks, but the other 31 teams across the league. So if you're wanting more draft content like you're seeing today, not just about Seattle, but every team, we got you covered. We got mock drafts. We have reaction to mock drafts from the experts as well. We have interviews over there, all sorts of stuff on our mock draft channel. We want to see how many Seahawk fans we can get to head over and represent on our new channel. So go ahead and check us out, youtube.com/chatnfl. It is the place to be. We are ramping up the coverage over the next few days as we count you down towards the draft. Head over there, subscribe today for free, turn on notifications so you don't miss a moment. So the second round pick for Seattle, this one a very popular pick. I know my guy Nicholas Newton, who's probably watching, he wasn't a part of our fan-led mock draft. He would be happy to know that Seattle gets John Michael Schmitz, the center from Minnesota at 52 overall with this selection. Seattle looking for help in the interior offensive line. They find out here with John Michael Schmitz. His overall grade was very impressive this past year at Minnesota, 92.3, run block grade of 81, or pass block grade of 81, run block grade of 92.4. Just really solid numbers for John Michael Schmitz, and you'd have to think he would get playing time immediately. Then you go to the 3rd round. That's where we find Keion White. We get our edge rusher. We didn't go for the edge rusher at 20 when we had Myles Murphy around. This time we go Keion White in the 3rd round at pick number 83. And his statistics last year were really good in the ACC with 54 tackles, 10 tackles for loss, 7.5 sacks, 17 pass breakups. He's a terrific athlete, Keion White is. And you already have Draymond Jones there, obviously, who you brought in there in free agency. And Jaron Reed, of course, was signed. In this mock, we bring in Jalen Carter. So all of a sudden, now with what we've done, you have a lot of depth with this potential defensive line with the moves that Seattle has made in this draft and with free agency. It is a night and day difference from the defensive line that we saw from the Seahawks last year, and gets a whole lot better in run defense as well. This would be like moving heaven and earth if you retooled the defensive line to look like this in this offseason if you were to do so based on this draft. So, name a prospect you want the Seahawks draft. Who comes to mind, whether it's somebody we've talked about today or somebody that we haven't talked about today? Who would you like to see end up in Seattle? Let us know in the comments section below. We go to the 4th round now, and the comment section was rooting for Deuce Vaughn to be the pick here for the Seahawks. But that didn't quite happen. Mark Sanchez came in with a big super chat and picked up the Oregon State corner, Mr. Wright himself there in the 4th round at 123, Rayshawn Wright with the pick. And very athletic, good corner, good fit for Seattle here. And I would think that Seattle goes later when it comes to corner now that you're bringing back Mike Jackson. Kobe Bryant's going to be a year older and more developed. Same with Tariq Woolen and company. This could be a good value find for Seattle there in the 4th round. You go to the 5th round, and we go receiver again for the Seahawks. This time going with Fresno State wide receiver Jalen Moreno-Cropper with this pick in the 5th round at 151 with the selection made there by the Seahawks, adding another receiver, trying to find more depth at that position for this Seattle Seahawks team. You go also the 5th round again, and that's where we head to Iowa State, Ames, Iowa, to find Anthony Johnson Jr. is who the Seahawks take here with the pick at 154. Anthony Johnson Jr. at that safety spot has some versatility that he brings to the table here, and so You bring him into training camp and you just try to find a spot for him of some sort to see where he could potentially belong. This is a guy that has had experience at the corner position. So something to think about there with Anthony Johnson Jr., primarily a safety, but previous experience on that front. Then we go running back. After not getting Deuce Vaughn earlier, the Seahawks still get a running back later in round 6. Mark Sanchez says, let's go get Bam Bam Rodriguez Jr., Chris Rodriguez Jr., out of Kentucky with the pick at 198. Seattle trying to find a backup running back for Kenneth Walker III, and that we find one here with Chris Rodriguez Jr. And much to my chagrin, the final pick of the draft, Seattle goes with Stetson Bennett. Not what I would have done. I was not pleased. Max Duggan was on the board if you wanted quarterback, but y'all went with Stetson Bennett. Look, if you think Stetson Bennett is worth being drafted just because he won 2 national titles, I mean, you don't know ball. I mean, come on now. Stetson Bennett, really? Yes, Stetson Bennett. The draft, it had its highs and lows, but it ended on a terrible note when y'all had to take Stetson Bennett on me. My goodness. Anyways, to recap, here is a look once again at the fan-led mock draft. We go heavy at defensive tackle to get things going. Go offense there with the 3rd pick of the draft, going with Josh Downs. We get our offensive lineman in the interior with John Michael Schmitz, Keon White at the edge rusher spot. And then the next 5, the noticeable thing that stands out to me from this fan-led mock draft that we did, the fans out there ignored the linebacker spot. No linebackers taken in the fan-led mock draft that we did there. I would have taken a linebacker at some point in this draft personally, especially with the need there. I know that you bring in Bobby Wagner and Devin Bush and company, but you still need more bodies. I think that's the biggest mistake from this draft besides just Stetson Bennett. But, I mean, you got some talented players. You got Jalen Carter, and that's the most important thing. So what would you grade this mock draft? Let me know in the comment section, A, B, C, D, or F, what you think of what the fans did, how the 12s did. How would you grade your mock draft? Let us know in the comment section. Tell me what you think on social media as well, on Twitter, Instagram as well, at Tyler Jones Live. You can find me there. And I'll see you next time here on Seahawks Today.